Sarah, Tirri, welcome back to the Treehouse. I'm gonna tee this one up for you. I'm gonna tee this up for you because we're coming up to elections pretty soon, and we ought to talk about those. But we have some other things to talk about.
No,
first.
we don't. Elections.
We don't. Really,
yeah.
This is the thing.
Yeah, we need to.
Oh, really? Okay, so. Well, we're going to get into that, but for those of you joining us, welcome. This is Soul Decodes. My name is Dr. Tia Jolie Phillips, and I'm with the author, the thinker, the philosopher.
Not much thinking today, darling.
Sarah, Tirri, welcome to the studio again.
Thank you, darling.
So for those of you listening, we're just getting this podcast ramped up. We're having fun doing it.
Yes, we are.
And this is Sarah Tirri's kind of her brainchild. It was my idea to do a podcast, but the nature of the podcast was hers. It's been a while. I want to thank you for allowing us to take a shower at your place.
Oh, you're more than welcome, darling.
Because that was like, for those of you who are not in Florida, we got...
Hurricane Milton.
Yeah, Milton
mashed us.
Milton was not favorable to Central Florida. We really got hammered. Our property had some pretty significant
So we,
destruction.
after Milton went through, the water hadn't come up. Well, it'd come up a bit. It'd come up about a foot. Everything was fine. And then with all the runoff, my dock's underwater. I can't get to my jet skis. I can't even, it's just, the water's just
The
come
water's
back.
that high?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't know when it's going to recede. I'm going to be praying to the rain gods.
The rain gods and goddesses.
I want to get to my freaking jet ski.
For those of you who do not know anything about Florida, because Sarah, we're a brand new podcast. We actually have listeners in India.
It's rather a banality, a hurricane in Florida, isn't it? I mean, it's just, you've got to expect them. You have to live with them. You can't fuss about them. You can't live in resistance to them.
You have to go with the, you have to go in the flow. You have to be in the flow.
Literally,
You're gonna be in the flow.
Yeah.
But we have listeners in Bangladesh. We have listeners in other
Yeah,
parts.
they get typhoons in Bangladesh.
Yeah,
don't
so
they?
they're called different things.
Yeah, well, is a typhoon the same as a hurricane, or is that like a tornado? I'm not quite sure how to. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. That's another topic for another day. But I want to thank you for letting us take a shower because we were without power for 3.5 days.
I know, living like cavemen. That's awful.
I know. Well, what's tough about it is not being able to take a shower because
there's plenty of lakes around here, darling. You could have jumped into a lake.
Yeah, we don't do that in Florida. That's like a super bad idea in Florida, especially when everything.
Because we have gators, for anyone who doesn't know. They're all around us right now.
Everything's disrupted, and it's like, oh my God, So yeah, there were fish out of water, snakes out of water, gators misplaced. It was really something to behold. But one of the serendipities was all of our fruit trees got blown. Like we had some destroyed, we lost a lot of fruit trees. I moved like 1,000 pounds, probably 2,000 pounds of dead banana trees, but they'll come back up. They'll be
so what's the positive on that? Do they kind of reseed
or
plant?
The positive is that I've got a whole bunch of lemons for you.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Yeah. That's very nice. I love them.
There's more where that came from because
great.
The tree got shaken so violently that the baby lemons dropped off.
Yeah.
And we've got so many lemons. Everybody I'm meeting was like, do you like lemons?
Good. No, that's good. Vitamin C, baby. I've been reading a lot about the benefits of that.
So there's some lemons and...
you know what I do? I slice them and then I open freeze them. And so when I have a drink, I just put a frozen lemon in there.
There you go.
Because I don't like ice particularly, and that's the way to do it.
Well, we actually make ice cubes out of the lemon.
Yeah.
Like we just squeeze them into the ice tray.
Oh, I like seeing the fruit. I like a good-looking kind of cocktail. I'd put a cherry in every drink if I could.
See, this is the difference between a snobby English girl and a scrappy Detroit.
I like
a scrappy Detroit girl. So, all right. So okay. I'm going to tee this up. I'm going to tee this up for you because yesterday morning I just had some simple errands to do. I met with a girlfriend and we talked about, some business and such. And then after that, I went to another girlfriend's place to drop off
lemons.
Well, actually, I did give her lemons. How did you know that?
I don't know.
So I dropped off lemons and I gave her some basil. We had some purple basil and she's just getting her farm up and going. So I just gave her some stuff and she wasn't there, but her husband was. And, I thought, I'm nice to everybody. I don't really know them very well. They're new friends.
But you weren't expecting to see
him. I was expecting to see her, not him.
Isn't it funny how reality can shift like that?
In a moment.
Like, this was not what I predicted at all.
But it gets worse. But this is gonna tee up our conversation.
All right, we're good.
Okay, so I show up, I pull up, and he's dragging in his trash cans, and I pull up in my I actually cleaned my
Yes.
Cadillac. It's
Yeah.
like this Escalade, and it's
Yeah.
like,
This
I roll
black
on the window.
gangster Cadillac.
I roll up the window.
Knick-knack, paddywhack, still driving Cadillac.
Well, I pull up I pull up in my clean farm vehicle, my Cadillac.
Oh.
And
What, your Escalade is your farm vehicle?
that's my farm vehicle.
You use it on the farm?
Yeah, I pull trailers around and stuff.
Wow.
Well, I have to. I don't.
It looks in such good
You think I
nick.
can afford a pickup?
That's good. It's got multi-uses.
Well, I joke
then.
about
But
it
it
to
looks,
people.
I had a black Cad. I've got a white one now. I want to get a black one the next time I get one. I've never not have that car. I've been driving Escalades for a long time, but I miss my black one. Anyway, carry on with the story. So you pitch up.
So I pull up to this, expecting to meet with my girlfriend and have a cool conversation
Yeah.
because she's a super cool girl, and then but her husband's like a piece of work, and like in a not good way. like,
What's his where is this weakness in him?
well, you know, I try to find the goodness in everyone. So I roll down the window. It's like, hey, how are you doing? He's like, oh, it's you. And I'm like, what?
I'd have fucking reversed out of
Well,
that.
the thing is, but I've got my stuff I'm going to give
He
my
said,
girlfriend.
"Oh, it's you."
He literally said that.
And there
I'm
was
like,
no smile on his face. He
oh
wasn't
no,
joking.
but you don't know because some people are like he's this like a New York attorney,
Right, so he
like
could
really
be-
dry.
Yes, it could be dry and
yeah,
heavily
just like.
sarcastic.
And I thought I was being sarcastic.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so
okay.
cute. How stupid you are when you're like that, you know. But it's so cute, and I won't use names or anything. But the point is, it's like, so I go up and I take the stuff, download it onto the front porch. He's dragging his trash cans up. I'm getting ready to leave because I'm not going to hang around and talk because my girlfriend's not there.
Yeah.
And so he's coming up and he starts to have this discussion about how his wife and I are so similar. We're unrealistic about the world around us. We're idealists and he's a pragmatic.
And why is it? Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
So what? Yeah.
And he's getting into all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, so and he expresses that he's so tired of us always being so positive about things when the world is
Really?
like,
When the world's
and I'm
going
just
to
like,
shit. Oh,
and
that's
he's going to work.
interesting.
So
Okay,
so
that's
I was trying to root down, and I'm
Yeah.
sitting there,
Like,
and he's
what?
really agitated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jesus, I
Jesus
didn't really even. What did I? Like, did you sleep last night?
I hope you were packing.
Are you? Oh, I'm always packing. Yeah. But,
Jesus,
but,
what a
but
carry
it's
on.
like, are you off your meds or something, you know? But so anyway, so I was thinking to myself, it's like, wow, you know, but I like to give people space
Yeah,
and
and you let them
compassion. And so it turns out, I'll give you the punchline.
Yeah.
Because the dialogue was not worth repeating. It was like,
Okay.
it was very, I was trying to be very kind. I was asking him questions about like why he feels the way he does and such. But
Was that irritating him more, or was that calming him?
well, I was trying to figure out if he was joking or if he was
Right.
serious because it was almost like a Saturday Night Live skit or something.
Right.
It's like, am I on camera? It's like, is this guy like?
Yeah, you're just having to try and work out
Well,
what's the context.
I wasn't
of this.
sure the context because I thought he was joking. The first 10
But
minutes.
he wasn't. He was absolutely agitated.
He was
He's
very
tired
agitated.
of positive people not having a problem about what's going on. They can carry on their day and live normally.
Well,
and he's got a problem with that.
But it gets worse. No, it gets worse because I'm trying to figure it out. So I'm just very.
What, you headbutted him?
Well, no,
I'm just
well,
kidding.
in a different life, I would have. Like in my like when I was in my 20s, I would just assume
Yeah, dude.
he would have been dropped.
I'm glad you've mellowed.
He would have been dropped. But you know, that's not me now. I'm trying to be kind and try to.
Anyway, so what
Stephen,
gets worse then?
Stephen Covey says, seek first to understand, then
What
to
book
be
did he
understood.
write? I've
you
read
know.
a book of his, Stephen Covey.
Yeah, it was called The 7 Habits.
That's right,
Yeah.
of highly effective people, yeah.
Right. So seek.
Say that again. What did he
Seek
say?
first. I think it's his 5th habit or something.
Right.
But seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Okay, cool.
So I don't have anything to say. I'm a bright, sunshiny person. I just want to share love and peace and kindness. And I do believe that the world's going to be a better place.
Yeah.
But
I don't believe there's anything wrong with the world.
Well, but he was really coming at me
yeah,
hard.
I can understand why.
So I kept
I'm
asking.
not coming you, but I can understand why he feels ruffled.
Thanks for that clarification. So the long and short of it is that I was trying to figure out what this is about, and
Very interesting.
so I kept asking questions. He was getting increasingly agitated because I was.
Well, he
being,
couldn't ruffle you.
Well, no, I was peaceful.
You were very
Now,
peaceful and smooth.
full disclosure.
Smooth operator.
Full disclosure.
Yeah.
I did back away about 8 inches, And I did slightly blade my body in a defensive posture, just because I don't know if this guy's
You don't
going
know if this clown's going to let loose.
I don't know if he's going to let loose.
You don't know what's going on.
Well, he was sweating and his veins in his neck were bulging out.
Oh, well, that's when I would have realised he wasn't joking.
Well, that's exactly what I realized. I'm like, this guy is really, really agitated.
God.
Well, here's the punchline.
Jeez.
He listened to my first episode of Studio 17.
Okay. What was the...
Now, for those of you who don't know it, if you go to earthangelproject.com, you'll see links to other programs, one of which is my Studio 17. I just launched it a couple weeks ago. In my first episode, I had a forensic historian that was taking things that were published, actual factual things that were published, articles, journals, photographs,
curricula,
official
general curricula.
Official documents.
Yes.
Like this guy really did his homework.
Yeah, but hang on. What to prove what?
Well,
What were these pictures?
Well,
What do they
he does.
represent?
This guy talks about bunches of stuff, but in this particular instance, we were discussing that the narrative surrounding 9/11, the towers coming down, there was a lot of falseness to those narratives, and this guy was simply explaining why those narratives were deficient, how they were lacking. He actually talked about different articles and different people who were implicated that were never really publicly tried or convicted and things like this. And during the course of that,
This post-mortem,
this is after
9/11.
Look, and I didn't say this because this would have definitely lit off a war. But there's two categories of people who can look back at 9/11, the towers, the attacks in New York, and they understand, they comprehend that the official narrative is wrong. The first group of people are the people who actually did the deed. Those people know that narrative is wrong. The second group is anybody with a 5th grade education who took 5 minutes to actually do any research. They know that official narrative is wrong. This historian is brilliant.
So he'd listened to this
So
podcast,
he
and
listened
he
to-
just thinks this is outrageous.
He listened to it. He didn't look at the facts and stuff, but he just got triggered. Like it was just like.
But why? So what if you have a
it's
different perspective?
The cognitive dissonance. It's like my government wouldn't lie to me, right? It's like.
Oh, it's too scary for him to.
It's
think
very
about,
scary to
isn't
even
it?
think about.
Yeah, that's
like,
why he's agitated.
Because what if? What
Yeah.
if our government lies to us?
Yeah,
What
what
if? What if most narratives are false narratives? And that's the basis of Studio 17, my other podcast.
To give an alternate.
It's
point
just
of
to
view.
question things.
Just a point of view.
And so I literally asked him this question. I said, the purpose of my podcast is to question things.
Yeah.
That's all we were doing was we were asking
Well, you're questioning
questions.
it and you're filling in the blanks. Not only did it not happen this way, it happened this way. But I don't know whether you're right or wrong, nor do you. Who knows? But it doesn't matter. You've got a different point of view. Why is that so threatening to
But
people?
that's my question. And I even want to...
This guy's sweating. And I think it's a lack of security. I think it terrifies him.
Well, yeah, and he said specifically, I'm not going to say what he said, but he had very deep concerns. But this goes very deep. Number one is why don't people ask questions? Why are people so reluctant to ask questions?
Because they want to be sheep and they want to be herded and they just want to go with the flow and hopefully they're safe.
Right. So this sorry, I was a little distracted with technology there, but without going into the psychoanalysis and all this stuff.
So he's pissed off with you because you've got a different point of view.
Well, because I'm asking questions, and those questions pointed to answers or pointed to hypotheses. Not even if they're
that
not
he
answers.
didn't find palatable. This
Right.
hypothesis was absolutely unpalatable to his mental well-being.
So here's where it gets really
Poor
bad.
bastard in a way, right?
It's
Jesus.
he basically said that it's people like me that are ruining this world. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't take those towers down. Part of the program, I showed Building 7. There was a BBC reporter, I think I showed you. There's a BBC reporter, she's reporting that Building 7 fell. And first of all, nobody really talks about the third skyscraper that fell. It was Building 7. It was a BBC reporter saying, great news coming out. Building 7 is falling, but right over her shoulder, and I got the clip on my episode, right over her shoulders, Building 7. It's still standing. Why would you be angry with me for demonstrating that BBC jumped the gun by a couple minutes? The building hadn't fallen yet they're reporting that it fell.
Someone's going to say that's just tampered with footage. That's all they'll say.
Okay, they can say what they want,
but they will say whatever they need to say to deny that reality, because everyone's living in their little tight bubble.
But it's not my footage. Like, I just literally took this from the BBC and put it up there.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not saying you tampered with it, but you don't know where the footage, who made it, where did it come from? AI, you have no idea.
And that was just one tidbit. There was like,
but it's not even about 9/11. It's about, you can have whatever feelings you want about this life, and you can broadcast your opinions and then ask your questions.
Right.
So can I. And it's just crazy how this guy, and then he thinks that you're ruining the world.
Well, yeah, and so this is the segue I wanted to get into the elections with, because there's a group of us who are very concerned about not being able to use our voices, not being able to ask questions. There's a lot of us who are questioning.
How would you think you'd be silenced?
Oh, many of us have been silenced for years.
Yeah, but what does that mean, being deplatformed?
Totally deplatformed.
So this podcast they could just take down and we wouldn't have any platform.
Well, I think we're past that now. I think that there's enough. We won't get into that on this episode, but it's my belief that the tides have turned, and that the deplatforming, in terms of wholesale deplatforming, yeah. So this is where I think we have air cover now. I think the tide has turned. There's so many of us who are waking up to the idea that we've been lied to, not just about one thing, about health and wellness, about the nature of our world around us.
Do you think we've been lied to deliberately, or lied to because those running the show are ignorant?
Oh, they're not ignorant. They're very, very smart people.
So
they're very, very smart people, and they're very manipulative. Yeah. And so, yeah, there's a group of, there's like 7 families and a total of about 3,000 characters, many of which have been removed by the world's militaries. Different topic. The point for this show, I want to talk about what our elections are, what they're not. Who is it? Why do we call these elected officials? Why do we call them our leaders when they should be our servants? Right? We're electing them to represent us, but we call them our leaders.
Yeah,
this is where
I get what you're saying. About
if I were one to cuss, that's where I would cuss.
Yeah,
it's like,
I'll cuss for you.
Fuck that shit. Are you effing kidding me? They're not our leaders.
Interesting point.
They're our servants. They are our representatives.
Well, servants, I think there's a happy medium there. They're representatives.
They're representatives.
Yes, that's it. But leader implies so much that that's not.
But if they're not representing us, then they need to be removed. Yeah. So I'll just leave that there, because you wanted to talk about elections because they're inbound. There's people like this individual, this guy that.
How did that end, by the way? Well, when he said you and people like you, what did you do? What was your response?
Well, it culminated in a conversation about the impending elections, and basically the polarization. And I tried.
Who does he want to win?
I don't want to pick names.
Well, you can't answer that.
I mean, I can answer that.
Trump.
Yeah, he wants Trump to win,
okay.
Which is fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
so do you.
I mean, I want the person that's going to tell the most truth.
Right.
And I always like.
So it's funny that you're actually going to be voted. So that's weird, isn't it?
Well, you know what's really weird is I first of all, I'm an advocate for Commander Trump. And I say that with intention because I have reasons to believe that. But I'm an advocate for him because he's the outsider. He's the rebel. A lot of people will paint him a different way, but the truth is he's a rebel and he's a disruptor. And I'm a rebel and I'm a disruptor. And guess what? When Ross Perot was running back, decades ago, I voted for him. And I didn't vote for Trump the first time. I voted for Gary Johnson because he's an outsider. He's a rebel. He believes in truth and minimal government and not printing fake money. Right? So I'm looking for people that will challenge the system and disrupt the system. Out of everybody on the board right now, all the players on the board, Trump is still going to be the most disruptive. And a lot of people say, oh, Dr. Phillips is a disruptor. Well, okay.
It's a shit job, but someone's got to do it.
But let me ask you the question. If our world's going to hell in a handbasket and you don't change anything, what is your expectation for the future?
Yeah, quite. It's good.
And if you really look at our like the so-called foundations of our country, our founding fathers, the Sam Adams, the Boston Tea Party. No disrespect to the British.
Taken.
To the British, yeah. Sorry about the tea you lost.
You can just say thank you.
Yeah. Well, now I'm a coffee drinker, so there. But no disrespect. But the thing is, like, if you believe in freedom, then you're by definition, you're unwilling to be told what to do. Now, like, if you told me, it's like, Tia Jolie, I think this is a good idea, and we talk about it and we agree to it, and I'm like, yeah, that is a good idea, let's do it. Then that's voluntary, it's consensual, it's a meeting.
We have to have laws and regulations, so someone's got to be telling someone how to do something.
We being who?
Whoever is making the laws, but it has to be implemented because we have to agree to that being reasonable. But we're told what to do and we have to follow laws.
Right.
And we have to do that because that's how we've all got to live together.
Well, okay, and when you say things like we have to do that, I ask you, who's we?
The people, us.
Okay, we the people. So the documents that I read say things like, government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. Government decides...
Yeah.
And it's also from the consent of the governed.
Yeah.
And it further goes on to say, these are documents that I have grown to love and appreciate. But it further says that when the government starts behaving in such a manner that it becomes abhorrent or it becomes not serving we the people, it's our duty to throw off that government. Yeah. It doesn't say, oh, you can elect or you can have a conversation. It says we have a duty to throw off that government. Now, if you're not American, if you're from a communist, if you're listening to this broadcast and you're in a different country and you're okay with, Marxism or communism or whatever your thing is, that's okay.
And we'd love to hear from your point.
We would love to hear your points, yeah. But we're Americans. And America is not, in my world, it's not like these boundaries. To be an American means to be that rebel where we celebrate Sarah Tirri as an individual, or we celebrate Tia Jolie as an individual. And what's important to you, you should have access to life, liberty, and you should be able to pursue happiness. And if happiness means that you have a wife and not a husband, or that you remain single, or that you have 20 kids.
Do what you want.
You do what you want, as long as you're not injuring other people or injuring the earth.
Yeah, I agree with you totally.
So,
do you, boo. Just be kind, be nice, and do what you want. Yeah.
So with that as a backdrop, tell me what you're perceiving. There's people out there, they're coming unglued about these upcoming elections. What is your take on that?
I think people become unglued when they're not quite sure what reality is. They don't know what's going to happen. They're scared. They've read too many conspiracy theories. They've got their information from all over the place, and they haven't got a belief system which helps them cope with that. I don't know what to believe anymore. I can read all sorts of things, all sorts of contrary. When was it last week? Crime was better. Is much better than it was, and then I read the opposite to that. So I don't know when I look at information what's real. I don't know who's saying what, who's who. It's just it's a shit show, really. And because I don't believe that, I disattach from that. I cannot even begin to look at any of that, let alone react to it. Because when my vibration gets low, my manifestations are going to be low also. So I protect my mind. I don't get too heavily involved with it. I don't think about it. I don't know how we deal with the problem of not knowing who our sources are and what's real anymore. So I've just pulled back because I don't know. You've got a point of view. I'm going to hear someone that opposes your point of view. Unless I do a massive amount of research myself, but I'm committed to other projects, I'm not going to know. So I don't fuss about it. I don't know what I would recommend to listeners, though, if you get really uptight about this. I mean, you're a rebel, you're a disruptor. Does that affect your vibration?
Not at all. It makes me excited.
Right.
Because in my world, I'm a defender. So if Sarah Tirri is in her beautiful place on the water and you've got the sunrise, the sunset, you're at your desk, you're creating, you're putting out books and content, and you're helping the world.
Yeah.
That's your thing. I want you to be protected and safe and secure and doing your thing. Yeah. You don't have to be concerned because people like me are out there fighting for your right. But if you don't stop the people who want to control you, and there's global people who want to control everything in the world.
I never understand, because I've talked about why. What is their motive? I understand it's control and power, but why is that such an aphrodisiac? Why would anyone get off on that?
So it doesn't matter why they would. The fact is that they are. And they will. So it's difficult here's the thing. You're trying to apply your frame of reference to a psychotic person.
Nutcase.
They're nutcases. And when you have everything in the world, when you have control over the bankers, you have control over governments. If there's a country that's not cooperating, you just take them out and replace the government. When you're at that level,
it's like a video game.
What's left is to control the individual, your thought, and your minds. And at some point in the future, the idea that Tirri is a free thinker, and the idea that you can...
How would they be hooked up to what I think about?
Oh, are you serious?
No, yeah, I am. How does that...
You could look back at the neuronet. There's a neuronal network where they're trying to overlay a silicon-based infrastructure on top of us. Literally...
as babies, when we're born...
Well, eventually, yes.
Eventually. So what does that do? That allows them to see what we're thinking?
Well, close to that. This is a rabbit hole, again, that we talk about on other channels. But for right now, just understand that there are people out there that want, like your cell phone is monitoring you.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, it's monitoring you.
Yeah.
They
I don't give a shit.
Well,
fuck you.
Yeah, she just said that to her. Not to you, the listeners.
My phone, sorry.
She wants to say that.
That would have been funny for the listeners. They thought
no. She's talking to the phone. Stay with us.
Serious listening.
So, but the point is, and all of us have experienced this. Like I was talking to Rob, and I said, I wonder what our property's worth. It's been appreciating about $8,000 a month, and yeah, it's really cool. And I said, I wonder what it's worth. I said, I'm tired of Zillow, and I'm tired of Redfin or whatever. There's
Zillow equivalent.
Well, they're just not accurate. Their database is parsed and it's maneuvered and stuff. Oh. But I asked the question of Rob, and just over the kitchen table, I said, I wonder if Realtor.com is a better source of valuations. That's all I said. The next day, I was getting advertisements for Realtor.com.
On your phone?
On my phone.
Yeah.
So
can you talk into your phone to Siri? Because I can just say, Siri, when did the First World War begin? Hold the button down, then she tells me, and I can have her speak, and I can just read it.
Well, I think Android's got a different person. Like you have Siri. You're with Apple, right?
Yes.
I think that's
But you have the equivalent to that, so they can hear everything that you're saying.
Well, I don't have it. I don't permit it. But
how did they hear you talk about that to Robin then?
Well, there's passive circuitry. There's passive systems that hear you talk.
You mean clandestine ones?
Yeah.
Not because I use Siri because I operate her.
Right.
But you're talking about things embedded in the phone.
Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to keep tying this stuff back to our elected officials. Mm-hmm. So back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, like if you listen to my first episode of Studio 17, my guest talks about World War II being an extension of World War I. And this is a continuation of a seeking of world dominance. World War I was contrived, and it was designed because if America falls, the world falls. And it's no disrespect to the rest of the world. Like every country in this world is beautiful. They have beautiful people, beautiful customs and traditions, beautiful religions. But the fact is that if Americans stop holding the line and stop fighting, then the world dominance takes over. Like the global elites, we are the last line of defense. And so what's happened over the past many years is we've built an alliance with other countries who have come to align themselves with, not with the United States corporation, but with Americans like me and groups of us that are fighting and holding the line against world tyranny, global tyranny. And so what this sounds cryptic, but this is actually going on, where we're fighting a battle for the hearts and minds, for people to not be complicit. Don't be sheep. Stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't let these people do things to you, manipulate your food, poison your water, poison your lands, tell you what you can eat or not eat. Don't let that happen. Don't let them tell you what you can and can't do in your bedroom.
And the average man, the common man, is going to say to you, I can't control it. There's nothing I can do. Most people would say that.
Well, I will say to this, the average common man was okay with the British coming into the colonies and having their way with all of them.
Yeah.
The average common colonist didn't want to disrupt the system. It took a handful of us dangerous people, dangerous in terms of our ideas. Now,
Right.
some of us were dangerous. I say us because I'm one of them, right? We were dangerous
To the powers that be.
to the powers.
Yeah.
We were, if they, like, we even had artificial economies. We had, like, the British, oh, you have to use the pound. You have to pay your taxes. And we were like, no, we effing don't.
Yeah.
This is our country. You're welcome to live here peacefully, but you're not gonna.
We left England to get a
Without, we're not going to pay your king's taxes. You all are doing nothing but harassing us. So you can either be here in peace and kindness, or you can leave. Well, that irritated the crown, and they continued to harass Americans. And guess what?
When did they finally go away? They just thought, I'm
Oh,
not...
they never did. They went away for about 7 or 8 years. 1776, we kind of had our own thing. But then less than a couple decades later, they came back and
In what form?
covert.
Oh, okay.
They co-opted key people in the government. So this is not just a recent thing. Like, we only had a free world, a free America, totally free for probably a couple decades, maybe.
So America has a lot of English people in this consortium that you believe is running the world. Is it a bunch of different nationalities of people?
Yeah, what's happened is you can look at they're called NGOs.
What's that mean?
NGO is a non-governmental organization. They're unelected. They're appointed bureaucrats. Things
No,
like
but who's running the show? The people that are running the show, how many of them, and are they different nationalities?
they're worldwide.
Worldwide.
So the idea is you don't have to control everybody in the world. You have to control
America.
key people. No, well, key people, like, you want to control them, like the premiers of different countries, or the
The people making decisions?
yeah, you want to you want to put them in a compromised position. And this is what you're going to see with the people. You don't hear it in the news because it's hideous, but the things that were going on in Epstein Island, in the news now, you have the P. Diddy stuff, right? And the human trafficking and all of the
Unbelievable.
hideous
That
things.
guy.
But these people, there's
pig.
it's worse than you think.
Oh,
Like the hideous things that they did. But the thing is, those people, they become compromised, and they become a servant to the system, to the non things like the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, the Council of Foreign Relations. These are 3-letter worldwide agencies that are self-appointed psychopaths that needed to be reeled in. And we've done that over the past 10 years or so, since really 2012. We've reeled them in. There's still remnants around, but the fact is, those people want to have everything. They want to own the land. Klaus Schwab, who is the leader of the World Economic Forum, basically came out and said, there will be a day where you will own nothing and you will be happy. Well, but
so hang on. So if you own nothing and you will be happy, why would you be happy? Because the government's going to provide you with a bloody lovely, beautiful house like this that they'll grow. I mean, if you'll be happy, you don't own anything, but you're living beautifully. You have all the fresh fruit and vegetables you want. You can go on vacation. So is that what that could look like?
you're asking me to interpret.
Yes, because you're seeing that.
The ramblings of
You
a
won't
psychopath.
own anything, and you'll be happy.
So when I hear somebody with that amount of power at the World Economic Forum, he's the number one guy, top guy. He brings in all of his little people, his little what are they called? His cronies.
Yeah, his cronies.
Right, and they meet at Davos, and they have these conversations about how they're going to change the world and save the world, and why they're the chosen ones, and they're going to go out to their individual countries, their universities, their corporations. They're going to go out to all these places and implement these changes, right? because in their minds they feel like they're saving the world, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to they're going to get to the point where their world is about controlling Sarah Tirri.
For controlling me.
The way you.
But what if the government was able to do this? Everyone had a lovely house like yours and mine. They had a beautiful car. They had freedom to do whatever they want, and they had enough food. And you didn't need money for anything. Any clothing you want, that's available. That utopian society, that would be heaven on earth. And then all you do is wake up, and you'd have to have purpose for living, because without working you have to have a purpose, and you can be as creative as you want. That would be
yours and my
beautiful.
utopia.
Yes.
Right.
But that's not what they're saying. They're controlling you means what? That you might not be able to drive across the border into Orange County.
Those are called 15-minute cities. Their goal, and these are not things I'm making up, Sarah.
No, Charlene told me about this 15-minute city not far from here.
There's plenty of 15-minute cities.
So people that they give you an apartment, you work in the businesses that operate that, and then your money's charged to some type of card.
Oh, it's worse than that.
Your electric light bill is paid. I mean, everything's digitalized.
Well, if they had their way, all of your money would be in a central currency that's controlled by the global elitists. They're not elites. They're elitists. They're elite wannabes, but they're elitists. And what they want to do is have a global currency that is on your phone, so you can look at your phone and say, "Oh yeah, I've got $1 million."
A lot of people think that would be convenient.
Okay, freedom is not convenient.
You should see Tia Jolie's look on her face.
I was like, freedom is not convenient.
Now.
It's like, yeah, I think
like that guy.
I think my neck veins just got bulged out. So, but the point is, freedom is built on inconvenience. Just like being a multimillionaire is built on inconvenience. Like if freedom and success and prosperity were convenient, then we wouldn't have broke people. We wouldn't have homeless people. It's inconvenient. You have to get up, dust yourself off, keep getting up, and keep moving forward towards your goals and dreams, not only for yourself, but for the earth, for the people you love, for your progeny, right? For the future, future people.
To maintain dignity now.
So you could be a lazy ass today, and then what good are you?
Yeah.
Really, what good are you?
Yeah.
And so the reason I started...
But you still have a right to be a lazy ass and do what you want.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us have to do that sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but
I'm a lazy ass sometimes.
Yeah, occasionally, but you're very motivated. But I mean, you've got a right to do that. I don't need to worry about if there's a lazy ass on this planet. He's not going to come into my orbit.
Right, and so there's so many things we've opened up here. So the idea in my world, when it comes to elections, which truthfully since the 50s, they've been since the 50s, at least here in America, have been not elections but selections. They've been selections. You've got this entire group of people that are controlling the narrative about who's good, who's bad. You've got this.
So your group wants to control the narrative.
No, we want free speech.
Everyone can just say what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Sarah Tirri wants to cuss, she should be able to cuss.
Fuck yeah.
Right. And if Tia Jolie doesn't want to,
she
then
doesn't have to.
I don't have to.
No.
Right. So
that's it, and that's in the Constitution, isn't it? Freedom of speech is what we just worked hard at maintaining for all these years, and we still want it.
Yeah, and if you think,
how would you regulate hate speech then?
Well, let's double back to that, because first of all, freedom of speech means freedom of speech. It's not about you and me talking about the weather. It means that if you and I disagree on something, and we have to cuss. You have to cuss at me because you just, like this guy on the driveway, right? If he disagrees with me, I love that he can talk about it. And I asked him at the end of the conversation, what do you and I agree with?
So you didn't let him win at all. I mean, you didn't let him ruffle you because
you can't fight an enemy. You can't win against an enemy that doesn't fight you.
So when he said to you that you and people like you are ruruining the world, you still were nice to him, and you went in. So what can we agree on? You just took it into that.
Oh no! What I said to him was, I said, I won't use his name, but I said, so first of all, to the degree that I was complicit in making you feel this angry, please accept my apology. I said, the goal of the show is to question everything. I had an amazing guest on my first episode. All my episodes are great guests, but I had an amazing guest. And if you disagreed with something like that, that's okay. It's like,
And what's his response when you're saying this?
Well,
is he soothed?
what I asked him, no,
It's got worse.
it kept getting worse.
Because what you're doing, you're so calm, like Jedi calm,
Right.
saying the right things, outmaneuvering him on everywhere. I mean, he cannot ruffle you at this point.
Well, what I did, I asked him questions. Part of it is, this is martial arts.
Yeah.
You're not
This
gonna,
this similar thing happened with that homeless lady when you were visiting with your family. The one that
Yeah,
came
very
up, you
similar.
had to kind of, she got aggressive, and you had to kind of work that situation. This is what you did.
Yeah.
with
So
this?
what I did with this individual was I said, I'm trying my best to be my very best.
Good.
And I said, what suggestions would you have for me? Because I'm not going to let him off the hook. I need him to engage.
No, I mean this is highly passive aggressive.
It's not passive.
It's not. Well, it is very passive. You're calm.
It's passive.
Yeah.
It's aggressive passive.
Okay, all right, that's okay.
Because passive aggressive is
Okay.
like, I'm not, that's not me.
No, this is you're maintaining control, but it is aggressive.
I am very aggressive.
Very aggressive, but
Like,
you're doing it in such a beautiful, passive way, not ruffled. Maneuvering, every question you're asking is the right one. You're turning it back. You have not raised your voice, I take it.
No,
You're
I
just like
didn't.
you are now.
No, just like this.
Yeah.
But I asked him, I said, so what do you suggest I do? Because I'm trying to be the best me I can be. And what can I do better? And he just...
You must have wanted to explode.
No, he wanted to explode, but I wasn't trying to get him to explode. I really sincerely want to be better. Like, this is crazy. But so I know the listeners are like, what the hell where are we going with this? But
Well, we started out with this guy. So.
but so yeah, we can keep dovetailing that in. That's fine. But when we talk about elections, we can't just turn on the news and expect to get the real deal. You can't do that. You have to go to the alternative media. I've got a Telegram channel. It's got
Who
all
wants
sorts
to
of
spend
stuff.
the time doing that? I mean, I don't. I don't know whether I want to know the truth unless I have enough money to do something about it, and that's what I'm working on. Right? If I had a lot of money, I would definitely get more involved in external reality. At the moment, I'm a writer. I'm at home in my little castle, and that's where I live, and I'm okay with that. I think most people just want to be okay. They don't want to put in the massive amount of research. It will start agitating them to think that we've been lied to. I mean, no one wants to deal with that in their lives. They just want to get up, go to work, and hopefully get some happiness where they can find it. This would be a lot of people. This would be a lot for people to take on psychologically.
So I would say, to answer your question, you don't have to engage. But if somebody is engaging the lies, don't fight them. Let them engage the lies. Because when you look at if we're going to knock, seek, and ask, right? If we're going to go into the world and be children and if we're going to be those children, somebody's got to defend those children. Somebody's got to defend the children. Ideally, each one of us would defend ourselves. So even though we're children, even though we're childlike, we're fierce warriors too. So you can be a happy warrior. Mm-hmm. That's what a happy warrior is.
Warrior, yeah.
You can be a peaceful warrior. You can be childlike and live your life, and you can grow foods, and you can play and dance and love,
Still be a badass.
and still be a badass about it. And that's
Yeah, I love that.
when you look at like the samurai. Take a look at the samurai, and that's very, very much what they do. They're absolute badasses, but they don't pull out their swords and whack somebody unless they need to.
Yes, they're civil.
There's
a massive deterrent in that sword. No one wants to use this because shit will get really ugly if we do. So it keeps the law and order because everyone has to live peacefully with this massive threat ready on your side.
And this is why, like my neighborhood here, I mean, there's one way in and there's one way out. And on the way in, there's a Marine sniper, the guy across the street.
good,
I mean, there's like all sorts. Like you're not going to get.
You're packing down this road.
This road is. But you know what? We have beautiful people in this area. Yeah. Like you just know that everyone's armed.
Yes.
There's not going to be like
well armed.
If you're in the grocery store and
have you seen my husband's arsenal?
Yeah, I did.
It's pretty badass.
I'm pretty envious.
Oh, are you? Good. I'll tell him that. He'll be so happy.
But But not that I'm a nut with weapons, but I think it's like having multiple knives in your kitchen. There's like one.
Yes.
You need
what serves
something
its
for
purpose,
everything. It's like,
yes.
oh, I'm going out with the girls. I need my little dainty weapon. But I think there is something to be said about we have these amendments, right? Which are totally a threat because there's actually people who don't want. The Constitution has been changed multiple times. The American Constitution. Spoiler alert, for those of you not paying attention, the U.S. corporation has been bankrupt multiple times.
So what's wrong with updating the Constitution if what was written previously no longer serves us?
Well, I mean, there's a mechanism to do that.
Yeah, okay, so the mechanism is what you're objecting to.
No, I have no problem with the mechanism to change it.
You have no problem updating it.
I have no problem updating it.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's a mechanism that nobody's using it.
Right, okay.
They just want to trash the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's like we had a thing in the military. Basically, it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So you'd have and the mechanics would say that too to the pilots because the pilots are like, and
my husband's got a really, really crass way of saying it.
What's he? Okay,
yeah. How do you keep a good hard on? Don't fuck with it.
I mean, okay.
Sorry, listeners, it's just a joke.
I'm gonna have to put.
He says it once in a while. Maybe we have to take that out.
We're not going to take it out. I'll just put a little warning label.
Okay, warning.
Warning label. Warning. We're talking about elections. I mean
erections.
So anyway, the point is we have these amendments, and there's a threat to those amendments. There's people who don't want. Can you imagine trying to fight America, knowing that there's I don't know the number, 3 trillion rounds of ammunition out there? You can't do it with a direct frontal attack. You have to subvert it. It's not going to happen with an invasion. They cannot invade. They have to populate. They have to infiltrate key positions, like swing states. You don't have to control all the states. You don't have to control everybody in all the states. You have to control key people in swing states. Yeah. And if you can do that, then you can control Congress. You can control everything. So there's some of us. Now, there should be this thing called checks and balances. So the Constitution's great. We have some really good foundational concepts in the foundational documents. The problem is nobody, if you have a corrupted judiciary, if you have, we have people right now, Sarah, if I pulled 20 people aside on the street and asked them, what are the 3 major branches of government? They wouldn't even know.
I don't know. I had to know when because I became an American citizen, so I knew briefly, but I couldn't retain that.
So most people, they don't even know. There's 3 branches. There's the legislative.
Yeah, that's right.
They make laws, laws. There's the executive, which is the president, vice president, the cabinet, the executive officers, if you will. And then there's the judiciary, right? Which is, now there's a 4th branch that nobody ever talks about, and it's called We the People, right? And there's this 4th branch that is completely ignored. They don't even talk about the 4th branch, and it's We the People. The reason I bring this up is because I don't expect you to be off course. You're doing your creative thing, but give us, those of us who are defending America ideals, who know the Constitution, who know the threats to the Constitution, we know what's required to change it.
Well, someone would say you think you know.
All right. You're correct. I think I know. But I think what I think I know is more than what most people think they know.
Yeah, possibly.
So at least defer or give the possibility.
Give the respect.
Just the possibility. Here's the thing. What if I'm totally wrong? What if I'm defending
nothing?
What if I'm defending the Constitution, but there's no threat to it?
Yeah.
What if I'm wrong?
Yeah. Then you're just being futile, but there's no harm, no foul.
Then I've wasted my time and effort and energy. I just
You'll
waste
come
my
back
time.
and be reborn again and do something different.
I'll do something different.
Yeah.
But what if I'm right?
Yeah.
What if the group of us that see this clear and present danger, it's very clear, when somebody in a world, here's what, we have all these things happening in the world around us. What the globalists, global
elitists.
The elitists, what they wanted was they wanted Americans to fight each other. They tried to divide us on economic grounds.
They did quite a good job of it, didn't they?
Well, yeah, but we didn't fight. They wanted us to tee off Christians against Muslims, Jews against Christians, old against young, straight against gay. They wanted to divide all of us. But Americans, true Americans, we're really well armed, but we love peace. We are peace lovers. And even though...
just want to enjoy your life.
Just let people enjoy them. Yeah. This is a very libertarian stance. It's not Republican. It's not Democrat.
I love it.
That's, by the way, those of you who are Republican or Democrat, you're experiencing what's called the illusion of choice. The illusion of choice, and it's a false dichotomy.
Take a bit from here and a bit from here and think critically.
Think critically. Yeah. If you're a critical thinker, you're most likely not a Republican or Democrat.
Yeah, you just take a bit from both.
You're a libertarian, you're an independent, you're something that's not those two. But like I literally have people who are going to vote their party line.
Yeah.
Because they're scared to death because if somebody else gets in, if that other, whatever the other party is, the Democrats think it's the Republicans think it's the Democrats, whatever the other party is, they're the devil.
I know.
They are the devil.
I don't understand why we just...
People look at me and say, why are you an independent? Why are you a libertarian? You're wasting your vote. It's like, okay, let's just pretend that I'm a senator. Let's just pretend. And by the way, they can't afford me. I'm never going to be a senator. Obviously, never is a big word, but...
yeah, don't say that.
The odds are pretty good I'm not going to be a senator. But let's just pretend I'm a senator and I'm a libertarian and there's a 50-50 vote and it's right down the middle and I'm independent. Mm-hmm. How valuable is being a libertarian now? Mm-hmm. How valuable is that? Everybody's been kissing my ass, right?
Yeah.
Half the people are going to hate me. Half the people are going to love me. Actually, all of them will love me until I decide what I'm going to do. Yeah. And then half will hate me. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is the way it is. Yeah. And as long as you're okay with half the people hating you, which I'm fine with it.
Or don't react to it. Just don't even think about it.
Just imagine them.
It's their thought, their vibration.
They'll get over it as soon as they figure out what's really going on.
Or they'll be reborn again and they'll get over it next time.
So how do we bring peace? How do we bring peace to people who are facing this election? What are some of your thoughts? I'll give you some of my closing thoughts, and we'll go from there.
I would say don't let it lower your own vibration. You're creating your reality using thought form energy. Don't get sucked into this. Don't have any angst. Don't think about it. Vote how you want to vote and let it be and enjoy your life, because your manifestations, when you start getting agitated, your external reality is a mirror of that. So the best thing is to really sort of check out of it. I mean, watch it, but don't identify with any mental drama in your head. Don't hate someone. Don't get upset because someone said this. Just completely pull back and be neutral. Let this play out and just be a good person in your own life. Just bring all your energy into you. Anything that you're projecting outwards and you keep looking at external reality, bring it back in. Love yourself, accept yourself, question your intentions, question your belief systems, and just chill out. That's my...
I like that. It's beautiful. From my end, I would say, understand that everything's going to be okay. We're going to get to the other side of this. The world.
I'm optimistic.
And the people sitting across from you, if you're a Democrat looking at Republicans or vice versa, those people, you're more similar to them than you are different. Like most of us are more similar than we are different.
That's a nice thought.
So let's just go with that. And I closed with this fella. I said, what do you and I have in common? Like what?
Did he answer you?
Well, we agreed. That
the sky's blue.
Well, no, close. Oh. We agreed that there is this infinite energy and that we must protect and preserve nature.
Lovely.
Now, that's a really cool thing for us to agree on.
Really nice.
I mean,
quite profound. I'm quite shocked. I
was shocked too. So I looked at him. I said,
lovely.
I said, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that.
I bet you did.
So like,
get me the fuck out of
here. I got something. Okay. Oh, where did the time go? I got to go. So, but one more thought, when we get to the other side of this, if you are going to opt into this idea where you get all riled up and all this stuff, ask yourself these questions. Number one, have we permitted too much power and too much money to go to a central source? Because if you let all of your power, all of your rights, all of your energy, everything go to a central source, and they get to dictate what you say, what you do, what you think, who you're in bed with, are you okay with that? And if you're not, you need to bring that power back down to we the people. Bring it down to the local level. These people in the western North Carolina, where they had the flooding and all this stuff, those people, you can't rely on FEMA. You can't rely on federal agencies. you have to have all of the power at the local level, the local governments. Nobody can take care of North Carolina better than North Carolina people. We, the people in North Carolina, we, the people in Florida, we're the ones that need to have the control,
I think most
the power.
people want that, don't
They want that, but they've surrendered.
Yeah.
Like, why do we have a Department of
I don't think people think they have a choice.
Why do we have yeah, we do, because we're the people, they're our servants.
Yeah.
So these people in the central government, they think they're all this, they're
leaders.
They're high on themselves.
They've taken this term leader
and
run with
it. They don't understand that we're the leaders. They represent us. We lead. They listen. And we got to get that back into people's heads.
Good.
And we'll close with that, but we are going to have a great year next year, whatever happens, because we, the people...
Well, Trump's going to win.
We, the people, are going to take the power back. We'll have a conversation about, Trump and what's going to happen.
Well, once he's won, we'll tape a show because he's going to win.
Yeah.
I'm so confident about that.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't agree that Trump will win or should win or whatever, this is recorded before the election. Yeah. It's a point of view, and we're good with that.
Don't worry about it.
I will say that I have loads and loads of people who are really hardcore Democrats, and loads of people in my family are hardcore Republican. And what I've been doing is just trying to get them to understand each other and trying to get them to the point where they can...
Or they don't have to understand each other. They can just like each other and be friendly. It's when it gets divisive. I don't have to feel... You've probably got a lot of views that I might not agree with. It doesn't matter to me.
No.
I've probably got a lot of views that you don't agree with.
No, it's okay.
Everything's fine.
No, I agree with everything, Sarah.
I knew you'd say it.
I'm totally compliant. But anyway, this is great. Sarah, for those people who don't know how to find you and your information, we set up this brand new website. It's called souldecodes.com. There's links there. Your website is?
Sarah Tirri. So sarahtirri.com, and then Amazon is where you can buy my books. I have a novel which deals with the nature of reality and your place in. Is This the Best God Could Do? Is a polemic which discusses the usefulness of seeing God in the monotheistic context. And then what else have I written? There's more than that. My brain is shot.
I know. Did I wear you out?
Oh, the other one. Yes, you did. We Who Are Becoming Gods. That's also available. Oh, and the mirror world. That's deals with this being a virtual reality. That's the metaphor, and how it is we're each creating our reality. The mirror world is life-changing. It's only a 40-minute read. It's a journal. So thanks to everyone for listening.
Thank you.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has been. And for those of you listening, if you know somebody who has a really cool podcast where they want to expand out to the world, this podcast and others, we're going to be bringing more and more on. You can go to earthangelproject.com. I am looking to expand the network, the syndication of Earth Angel Project, which is Earth Angel Media. So if you have people who are trying to make a positive change in the world, it doesn't matter if it's like what we do or talking about leadership or sovereignty or permaculture or homesteading or whatever you want to do. If it's helping the world, then please talk to me. I can do the heavy lifting in terms of syndication, but you can be the content creator.
Beautiful.
We'll get the words out there.
So
yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
Hey, we're going to make it, y'all.
Y'all.
Thanks again for being here, Sarah.
You, honey.
All right, be well.
Okay.